I think we got it, yeah. Just watch the cable thing. There it is. Is that loose enough?
Yeah, that's fine, dude.
All right, cool. All right, back for episode 18?
18 now.
18, and we're how many days out? 5 days?
5 days out from No Luck.
Yeah, 5 days out from No Luck 6, having Bobby Bolin and NPL crew down here to run No Luck while me and Carl run around and handle everyone under the sun, basically. So, is this your first outing as like a co-coach?
Yeah.
Cool. I think you're well prepared for it. I think we've done enough together where you got that, and of course we've kind of coached each other at meets. So definitely have enough experience for you, and it'll be awesome having some help on my end, so that way I'm not stuck
Can't wait to
by
see
myself with a crazy amount of people. And all the things that have torn me apart, nothing has made me more whole, covering the good, the bad, and the shit that keeps us going, straight from the head ref's table about to be used this weekend. I am your host, Travis Papa Bear Rogers, and you are listening to A Forest Through the Trees, a cave podcast. Here with a man who now needs no introduction, besides for raw lifters, because you've never done a raw meet. Carl Master.
What's going on, man? What are we talking about today?
Talking about how much do you bench, bro? So we decided we're going to split up a couple episodes and do the 3 lifts, SBD, but we're going to start with a B. I don't know why. Why did we choose to start with B?
Because it's the most important one.
It is the most important one, and it's the one that everyone cares about and always asks. No one asks you how much you squat, how much you deadlift. It's always how much you bench, bro.
I would prefer if somebody asked me how much I squat than how much I bench. Never get that question, though.
I think, yeah. I think I could argue that for me, too. Yeah, I would say that. So we thought we'd start by going over some of our best benches, I guess, to see if we're qualified. Are we qualified?
I wouldn't say I am. I don't know.
I think you're qualified. You're qualified to me.
I'll talk about it as long as, but I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about it.
So I had to do an open powerlifting check to check my numbers. So my best raw numbers I did, and these are all in competition numbers, not outside in the gym numbers, because gym numbers don't count. No gym lifts. These are real sanctioned on the books lifts. My best raw bench in comp was 405 at 181 and 463 at 198. My best benches in gear was 615 single ply, 639 multiply, and 683 unlimited. I did the 683 unlimited at 198, and the other two were at my debuts at 220.
You got all the categories.
All the categories.
You got all of them checked off.
I can bench some days. And then, of course, Carl's done only geared meets, but what are your best?
In single ply, these are all at 220. Single ply, I have a 551, and then multiply, I have a 565, both done this year. So.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both done this year.
Yep. February, I set my single ply record, and it wasn't just, a couple weeks back. I set the multi. So that was this is my first year getting multi, so I'm hoping to have a bigger spread by next year or the year after, but that's what I got so far.
I don't think I've topped a PR bench this year, but I've consecutively topped total PRs.
Yeah.
So I've always said I'm more versatile like that way. I've always been a more well-rounded lifter. I never, and I try to coach people like that too. I actually had an interesting talk about this just the other night with one of my clients. It's about not getting overly focused on one lift and how much that one lift at risk of a PR is it going to zap your energy stores for the rest of the day.
Such a dangerous game to play.
It is. You want to show out, you want to show off, but if it's going to turn, you got a whole day to think about. So don't turn your whole day into dog shit over one lift. And that's advice for this weekend, too, for those of you listening and competing this weekend.
I know you're out there.
So let's jump right in. So, Carl, why do you think people ask you, like, the first thing when you talk to anyone, like, obviously, like, you sort of look like you work out.
Thank you.
I used to. I don't really anymore. But that's why I wore the flannel today, so I could cover up and let you show off.
I had the guns.
You look like you work out. I'm just here for it.
Okay.
I'm the guy in the chair that's shouting at you. Yeah, it looks good. Do heavier. I was just thinking about me with a bag of popcorn watching you squat the other night, sitting my fat ass in a chair eating popcorn.
I'll look over this fat ass.
Yeah, with a fruit punch in the other hand, a bag of popcorn in the other. I'm like, yeah, it looks good, man. So good.
So much for DE squats. Yeah. We're just going to eat popcorn the whole time.
So why do you think how much you bench is the first question everyone asks at your like normal community gym level? I would say it holds true for powerlifting too. A lot of newer powerlifters too.
Yeah. I would say it's the most commonly asked question because if I give this some good thought, just because it's the most accessible lift to the general public. Like I feel like a lot of people have some sort of ailments where they can't squat or can't deadlift, but they can always lay down on a bench and just do what they can there.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably one of the first like. Not that, I mean, it's SBD, but not as considered a bro movement, but it's one of those first, like, typical gym movements that you do. I wouldn't say that you learn.
Good.
You know what I mean? There's a big thing to distinguish between you can do a bench versus you know how to bench.
Right.
And it's the one that, like, everyone can, quote-unquote, do, but I don't think many people, like, do it well.
Yeah, everyone can lay down on a bench pad and just throw some weight around, but...
And that's not to say you can't do a bench strong and wrong at the same...
I've seen a lot of strong benches.
Wrong benches. Strong, wrong bench. You heard it here first. But yeah, I mean, you can have like ogre strength and throw up a bench and it still be ugly as fuck, but be really heavy in weight.
Ogre bench, I like that.
Ogre bench.
That's what we'll say to me and look over. Oh, that was an ogre bench.
Ogre bench. That means it's strong, but it ain't pretty. Which is something to be said for itself, but like you can only take that so far before you learn proper technique. And actually, we just had that conversation the other night too, where it's like you might have not necessarily got crazy, stronger in a cycle, but if your skill progressed within the cycle, it's much easier to add weight.
Yeah, if you add some technical proficiency to your lifts, like it's carryover.
Yeah, you can easily get poundage out of that versus just straight up trying to add strength.
Definitely.
Preferably, you do both, but it doesn't always happen like that. So yeah, I would definitely say it's the easiest and most accessible to do, but not the one that is taught directly the right way. And of course, me and Carl aren't end-all be-all on bench coach specialties over here, but we did want to do an episode that provides some of the things that we've learned over the couple years. And of course, like how I would coach bench, things I've taught Carl, things he's taught me by watching him, like all different kinds of things. So today's episode is all about how much you bench, bro. So since we're both in gear, we just wanted to cover briefly like some differences between shirts, because I think a lot of people see categories, especially when you start, becoming a newer lifter into the sport, accessible to open powerlifting, and you start seeing all these different divisions up top. The difference between, 1-ply shirt, 2-ply, a mixed breed, and then of course you get to unlimited, which is like the Wild Wild West, basically. In some feds, some feds there's limits on unlimited. As we were looking at recently.
We've talked about that recently because that was what Fed put out that?
WPO?
Well, yeah, it was the APO, right?
Yeah.
So APO just...
They added unlimited division, but there's limits on the bench.
Right.
You can't have more than 3 layers, right?
Yeah, I think I saw, what's his name? Tony Carlino.
Is it 3 layers in a bench only, and then 2 layers in a full power?
I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
It's something like that, but there was definitely limitations on something that was deemed unlimited.
Yeah, I saw him in the comments talking about how it seems odd that there'd be limitations on an unlimited bench category.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, the meet we just got back from, there was
the same discussion.
Some debacle over my use of unlimited with an insert, but we'll see how that erupts this weekend.
Yeah, we will. I guess there will be some more discussion.
Carl's going to do more of more coaching than me. He's going to try to just keep me chill.
Hey, let me go check that shirt real quick. Is that tied in there?
Yeah,
let me see that.
How did you hand stitch that? Is it illegal? But anyway, jokes aside, you're funny. You're a funny guy, Carl. Has anyone ever told you that? You're funny.
Hilarious.
But so when you're looking at 1-ply shirts and you hear us talk about things like F6s, super katanas, things like that. Now, yes, while that is a single-ply shirt, there's also makes and models of those same named shirt that are in multiply as well, right? So you can have a double ply super katana.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we say yeah, like, oh yeah, but like a lot of people don't know that.
Well, it all just depends on how many layers of the gear you have.
Right.
And then the type of equipment that it was used to make the shirt.
Correct. So I would say, especially when we're talking to new lifters about gear, the name or type of shirt, like if I said katana or I said Inzer Rage, isn't synonymous with how many layers it has. That doesn't mean like just because you say that name, a super katana, it's only a single ply shirt. It's not true. Right. So, like Carl said, it goes by the layers of poly used to create the shirt. So usually when you have a single ply shirt, you have one layer of poly, which you can easily feel with your hands and is checked by a judge when you register your shirts in, and then has for most feds, a fully closed back of a shirt that consists more of like a synthetic. It's like a, what would you say?
It's a stretchier material.
It's like a stretchier material. It's not the same poly. It's not poly all the way around encased in the shirt. Now, in most divisions in that single ply, you cannot have Velcro. You cannot have additional attachments. The only thing, you cannot have it open, as in like slit all the way down. And you close it with like either, like we said, Velcro or like using your belt to tie it closed. Yeah. It must have a closed back. The only exception to that rule usually is you may slit the top of it. So the shirt itself is still closed, but it kind of has like a slit down the back, which it's very common to see me and Carl do. You learned that from me, right?
I did learn that from you.
And I do it so I can manipulate the shirt my own self versus having a team of guys. So it'll let me wedge it down, choke the shirt if I'd like to myself, which, again, I'm a fiercely independent lifter. I wrap my own knees. I set my own shirt. I just like it like that. That's not saying right or wrong. It's just, it's how I do it and how I like it.
Even on the gnarly amounts of like the unlimited gear you just were putting on with the insert, and I was like, it was one of our bench workouts. I was like, do you want me to like pull this back while you put these on? You're like, no, dude, get away from me. I got it.
I'll put my insert on and put myself into the shirt. It doesn't matter.
I got it. I can do it myself.
Now, when you get to multiply, you're looking at obviously multiple layers of poly. And those can be like laminated together, etc. But usually, generally, when they're checked, you can feel literally rub the two layers together and feel that it's two different layers independently. Now, those shirts, if it's in a multiply division, can have a Velcro strips on the back to close the shirt or be completely open depending on the fed and use the belt to close the shirt. Now, regardless of multiply and single ply, when competing, you do have to pull your singlet up all the way over the bench shirt. For those of you that don't know, your bench shirt would be under your singlet that goes on top. It's the only lift, unless you're in just briefs, that requires a singlet. A lot of people don't know that too.
Yeah.
That you can wear just briefs, but you have to have a singlet over it to cover the whole thing.
Right. That's a rule that I can still say I got like I'm still partly new to the game. When it comes to training, I don't, put my singlet on over my bench shirt when I get closer to a meet until I actually get there. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I actually got to do that again.
Yeah. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it is definitely something me and Carl both would, even though Carl said he doesn't do it, I would highly recommend you try out before you do it because it is a little different. It makes it a little harder to situate the shirt. You might have to have a partner dig around in your pants to get the shirt to set or find the fabric in the front and pull it down through with the belt, and you kind of make this makeshift giant fanny pack of a shirt.
There's like
kind of crunched up poly.
Sometimes they got holes cut in the bottom.
In the singlet, cutting a slit in the singlet so your partner can reach his hand through to pull down your shirt, but you have to check your fed's limitations on that. A lot of them also won't let you slit a singlet.
Yeah, definitely.
So double check with your rule book on that. It's dependent on the fed.
That's when you see the guys laying down on the bench and they have the other dude reach up the pant leg and yank it on.
Which obviously would make it infinitely easier to set a shirt.
Exactly.
But those can be 2 layers up to 3 layers. And a lot of people also don't know, if you're new to gear, it doesn't have to be the same ply all the way around the shirt. So, for example, you could have a 2-ply chest plate with 3-ply sleeves, or vice versa, a 3-ply chest with a 2-ply sleeves, depending on where you feel you need more support, or you'd like more pop, or you want it to go slower or faster, or what have you. So you can do mixtures of those things depending on how you like it.
Now, If for people that don't know, is there a limit to how many layers of poly gear you can have on a piece of equipment in multiply?
Yes, it's up to 3.
Up to 3?
Up to 3. So you could go 3 all the way around.
Now, is that just on bench shirts, or can you, like briefs? Are we putting 3-ply on briefs and that's it, or can you go above that?
I believe you can go above that in briefs.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
I've heard stories of people having like 5-ply briefs, but I don't know if that's...
Well, I mean, I've seen recently on Facebook Market, there's been some 4-ply F8s and overkills floating around.
Oh.
I couldn't imagine wearing 4 layers of that and then throwing like a 2-ply LUP over top. Like, that's fucking gnarly.
Yeah,
dude.
you're a piece of work if you're doing that.
Yeah. I mean, that shit could like stop a bullet.
If you can hang, then go ahead.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't
that's like
do that.
that's literally like squatting in Kevlar, which is wild. But finally, we make our way to the newest edition of all this, which would be the Unlimited division, which is considered the Wild Wild West, and this is adding synthetic materials that is more resemblance of like rubber that bends and bows like a... I don't want to call it this, but this is the only thing people are going to know to relate it to. Slingshot. It's more like a slingshotty material with other parts integrated into it that usually covers the full part of the chest and has a Velcro enclosure in the back.
I mean, think about it. Compare the 2 shirts. Which one resembles a slingshot more? It's easier to describe
it's
that
Unlimited for sure, but it still is different.
It is different.
But most of those have to be closed. You have to pull them down. Your singlet goes over top, etc. Same shenanigans. Just a lot different. I think when comparing those shirts, Unlimited allows for a faster mode of adaptation if you've never benched in a shirt, because it's going to feel closer and resembling to your normal bench. But it also goes wrong faster.
A lot faster.
Yeah, it's because of the rubber, and you have that slingshotty-ish effect. When it goes back, it goes back. It just might not be the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
So
definitely gotta be careful with that.
Definitely gotta be careful. You'll be skull crushing 100 pounds above your raw max real quick.
I've seen videos of it online. It's not pretty.
No. So make sure you have some like good dudes spotting you. And actually, let's switch these since we're talking about good dudes spotting you. We wanted to give out our call outs for shirted and team benching. Now, when you say team benching, Carl, what do we mean?
So we usually have a crew of people, or we try to most of the time when we are getting in our shirts. Usually it lands on our max effort days where we're putting the shirts on, and we have either 1 or 2 people on each side, a person holding the boards, and then somebody handing out to you. So that consists of like 5 to 6 people in max.
Depending on how heavy you're going.
Right. If you're working in the higher boards and like heavier weights, I mean, the boards wouldn't matter.
We keep ours similar to competition standard, like a squat would. Anything over 495, we have 5-man team.
Right. So we work through that, and the call outs, we usually give each other the cues as we get out. Like I know Travis, you like your bench to go out way further.
So I even wrote mine down so we wouldn't mess it up in the moment. More importantly, I wrote this down for Matt, and I hope he listens to the podcast so he could do this little clip and we can just send it to him over and over again. I actually used to have him mimic like a little chant dance like thing.
It was a dance
that I'd have to recite to him. I'm like, it's the shirt dance, because he'd mess up the cues and call outs when he'd talk them out to me almost every single time. And I just had to be like, I just had to know what was going on and not listen to a thing he said because he'd always mess them up. So usually when you'll have all hands on deck, meaning your person handing you out and your sides feathering. When we refer to feathering, it's a term a lot of lifters, especially in this era, aren't used to hearing because it's really only applied when you're in a shirt.
Yeah.
So if you're raw and you've only ever been around raw,
the hell is that?
you probably don't know what that is. Feathering would be where you get a 3-person lift off, 1 in the middle, 1 on each side, and they help pick the bar weight up, carry it out to your setting point, and then specific calls are issued from the person handling it to the sides in order to release in a timely fashion, so you're not just literally everyone lets go and it like basically drops on the guy.
Right.
Takes a little practice, takes a little teamwork, but definitely pay off, especially if you travel with a crew, which many multiply and ply groups are. But ours is usually a Carl will pick. We'll go out, 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 right? Retract, meaning we're sinking into the bench, calling belly to boost our torso position, and then he'll call sides. When sides is called, just the 2 on the left or right will release and at the same time. Right, slowly and at the same time, so it doesn't jar the lifter or unbalance them. pulling to one side or the other. And then finally, once that is settled and it looks safe, the middle person will last call release. And then that's when the bench will actually start.
Yeah.
So once again, that'll be out, retract, belly, sides, and then the final release.
And it's really important for the guy that's handing the bench out to communicate like all those cues to the people that are helping out, regardless of their experience doing it, just so everybody's on the same page and the lifter's safe. The lifter's safety is priority in that event. So you got to make sure everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah, and that's why we call it out. We want everyone to know what's going on at the current time and not just watching a heavyweight being passed out and be like, oh shit, should I let go now?
Yeah, and it's also really important, like you said, to have like once we call sides and then the main lift gets released afterwards, you're there holding onto it, still stabilizing, because say they let off the weight on unevenly, now the bar is swinging left and right, and you're there to hold onto it so the load isn't put directly onto yourself immediately on one side.
Right, and then if that case in emergency is that unsteady, you can call take very easily with somebody's hands already on the bar.
Yeah.
So it just makes everything safer, to be honest with you. So great thing to practice. But let's talk about bench setups.
Yeah. You want to go first? What's your bench setup look like?
I know you start with feet up on the bench.
I do. You don't like it.
I don't like it.
I know you don't.
I wish you would stop doing it, but whatever.
That's what I've done forever.
I know. Back to our other podcast. Is that a habit, Carl? Is it really doing something for you?
I think it's doing something, man.
You think it's doing something for you? I don't think so. So my biggest thing I always try to explain to lifters when setting up for bench is the idea of not touching. I say don't touch things twice.
Yeah.
Meaning when we set up, we don't want to tighten one part, tighten another part, and then go back to the previous one, because we're essentially undoing each action as we go on, right? So I try to get people to take, once they take their grip, they work top down, meaning grip down to the feet, right? So what I'll have people do is take your grip, which everyone knows needs to go in barbell valley, right? That's not too high in the top of your palms, like up where you would get your calluses, right? But more sits lower in that pit, right? So you can really wrap all the way around. It's essential, especially in a shirted bench, and all benches really, that you're holding that point in position of the bar, so that way you can execute and stabilize the most amount of power and stability, right? Not rolling. If it's up here and it's going to roll again, you're already having wrists in an extremely rotated position back, which is going to push you out and usually end you up under a rack or drop it.
There's nothing more uncomfortable in my opinion than having the bar too low in your palm.
Yeah.
And then once you're done benching, you have that weird bruise on your palm.
Yeah,
for like
it will bruise your hands, especially for the load. Yeah, it's bad. So making sure that grip's set. Usually if you're, and of course this applies only if you're in a Sherpa, having your partner help push your hands out. Me and Carl always communicate when pushing your hand out in a shirt to push out and through, because it's not just enough to push your hand out to where they need to go, because say you get there, they try to grab it and then you let off that pressure immediately and they start sliding back, because then they kind of got this half-ass hold, which ends up eventually being in your palm, like you said, where you get that shitty bruise. So we always encourage people to push, hold, and like let them go through all the way until they're situated. So taking that extra second with your training partner when you set their hands is always a really crucial moment, because again, nothing can make a bench feel shittier and go shittier than not having the hands right.
Yeah. And that really only applies getting your hands set like that when you have a shirt with a smaller chest plate. Like, I know some people have bigger chest plates and tighter on the sleeves, and some people have small chest plates.
Yeah, they have a better time reaching it themselves.
Right. So if you need the handoff, or the hand set, then that's like something you got to know how to do correctly. Otherwise, it's going to screw you going into your bench.
So once we set the hands, and if you're a raw bencher, just set your grip. One of the big things we do is we get into the traps and shoulders, making sure once we have our grip, we're under the bar, meaning when you first take that grip, you should never be looking directly at the bar, because you're going to need room to come back. And if you're starting at that position already, you're going to end up back behind the bench, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want your head hanging off the back of the bench, or in my case, since where Carl stands, his balls on top of my forehead. So nobody wants that. So making sure you're starting lower so that you crawl into that position. So crawl is another big term I use with my lifters. So once you take and set your hands, and you're going to lift your hips and butt up off the bench and dig your shoulders and traps into the bench, right? Pushing back and crawling into that eye level to where you're looking up and your eye level is matching the bar, right? Then while your hips are up, we're going to crawl our feet all the way back into the tightest position possible. And then, and only then, without moving anything else, are we going to slowly drop our hips and touch our cheeks to the bench, right? Everything at this point is super tight, right? We're not struggling and wiggling our feet again. We're not resetting our grip again. Again, set it and forget it, crock pot style. We touch everything once.
Yeah.
The next thing we would do is once we remove from the bar, right, then we're going to retract, right? And the idea of retracting, I think a lot of people, and I mean me included, I'm not saying I know everything, but like me included, I really didn't know like how much of a difference retraction in a bench and sinking into the bench pad would mean until I was in a shirt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things benching in a shirt teaches you about raw bench. Because, like, you think you're tight, and then you get in a shirt, and then you know what it means to, like, actually be in a really tight setup where you're really handling a bunch more weight and trying to stabilize everything in a much more demanding time under tension type position. Because, obviously, in a tight shirt, the bar is going to move down slower. You're going to have to be under that for longer. Like, it just takes, even the setup and, you know, we having the team feather the bar out, all of it just takes drastically more time than a raw bench.
Yeah. You don't see a lot of, like, I feel like back, like, I say, you know, a long time ago, I'm talking about, like, in the 80s and 90s of equip benching in their single-ply shirts.
Right.
You saw a lot more, like, faster descents and explosive, like, presses. And now in these new shirts, ever since the gears, like, evolved, you see a lot slower, you know, descents. And then, like, there's still... Some people are really fast off their chest and in the press, but you don't see a lot of those real grinding, like, slow benches anymore.
Right. Because it's more technical.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the evolution of the gear, though.
Right, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, I think, like, the idea, especially working your max hand distance that you're comfortable on the bar and how much you sink and retract into the pad of the bench is like a total game changer, even for me raw, right? Like I was a very flat back bencher raw. I was a closer grip bencher raw, especially my 181 and 198 days. Like I never really knew, you know, and that was just pure strength. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't a lot I was doing that was reducing the range of motion in order to improve like technical skill. I was strong enough to put
it was an ogre bench.
It was an ogre bench. It wasn't pretty, but I could fucking do it. Ogre bench. There we go. That term aptly applied to me.
Yeah.
See, I can only make up the terms if I've been shitty enough to do them.
There you go.
So I don't know everything.
He's qualified.
I'm qualified. But yeah, once you work that distance, and if you don't know the max hand limit, it's 81 centimeters or it's roughly about 32 inches apart. When you're on the bar, right? It's so hard to get people to understand that concept. And I always think of that, like for me personally, I know this doesn't work for everyone. I always think about it like a face pull, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're in a face pull exercise, right? And you have, let's just call this neutral, right? So I'm neutral here, I'm overextended here, right? I need you to think the opposite. So I always have clients stand next to me and I go, all right, I want you to reach your hands as far as you can, all right? Feel how that feels, how we're like forward. This is overextension, right? Now we're neutral, right? Now I need you to think about just moving your shoulder blades and pinching back like there's a pencil between your scaps, right? Now we're in retractment, right? So now I've gone through 3 different planes of motions, each reducing the range of motion by probably more than an inch.
I would say probably more than maybe.
And you've seen me do videos of that even with the PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Like no weight on the bar, just a PVC pipe or broomstick, showing how much of a difference position setup on the bench. Like I'll do one that's flat back in closer grip, one that's flat back in wide grip, one that's one that's like wide grip with a slight arch, and go through all these things until I eventually get to how I bench now with like the max grip, the belly up to the bar, and just how huge the reduce of range is. You know, it's literal inches, like 2 to 3 inches.
Well, I'd say it's more than that because it's not only 2 to 3 inches taken away at the top, but it's also after when you're pressing, it's 2 to 3 inches there as well. So really, it's 4 to 6.
Well, only if you learn how to not overextend in a lockout.
Well, that being said, that's something you have to learn as well. It goes both ways. You have to keep that position. You set it up. You take all this time to set it up in the beginning, and you're just going to throw it away at the end of the press. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a natural thing to do because even if you set it up perfect and you control that tempo on the way down for a soft touch and belly into the bar, if it's heavy, your natural instinct is to panic and push.
Right.
Right. Get it off of me. Yeah. So like you're gonna push through as hard as you can, which includes overextending. Right. Meaning, when you hear these concepts, when we talk about bench and we're talking about overextension, you're talking about the bench ends when the elbows are locked.
Yeah. Any more than that's just brownie points for you. Like,
right, yeah, which is going to make the bench harder, right? So if I'm in retractment, right? I'm benching, I touch, right? I'm coming out and I stop here, right? My elbows are just locked, right? Versus if I'm in retraction, I bench, I touch, and I'm coming out, oh shit, it's heavy, push through. Look how much I just added. I added 2 more inches to where my arms are stopping now.
Yeah.
Right? And if the ref watches you do that and you're still struggling to get those last 2 inches, even though you could have locked your elbows and stopped,
they're not going to give you a rack command.
They're not going to give you a rack command. So you're only messing it up for yourself. And again, these are a lot of things people don't know.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of experience, like under the bar, learning that too, though. And that's not just under the bar in a gym scenario. That's like in a meet scenario.
Well, the weird thing is too, like I was under the impression, I don't know, I guess I'm gullible or I'm naive, probably gullible. I was just under the assumption like everybody knew about that. Like if you were in a bench shirt, you knew how to do that. Oh, he's in a bench shirt. Oh, that guy knows about that.
Yeah.
And then I watched tons of shirted benchers like overextension, and I'm like, how do people not know about that?
Well, I don't really know. I can't say I would know where that.
Okay, if you had not met me and you were in a shirt, do you think you'd know about it?
I think I would because that's what I did when I was raw benching.
You were tracking?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because I fucking didn't.
You can go back and look at my old like raw bench videos. Okay. I mean, it wasn't as good as I am now, but I still had there. You can tell there's an
right. You were developing.
Right. a young lifter developing.
You were a wee spud, not a full blown potato.
So I think we can. Let's go back on the setup real quick and just say like.
Yeah, sure, go.
If you have a relaxed setup in your bench press in any sort of way, I feel like you're setting yourself up for either a really hard bench or failure in the bench press. Like you said, like everything should be tight and like brought together in a sense of like you're one total piece. There's not independent moving parts. Where like if you're set up on a bench, you can't like somebody can't go and move your leg, like push your leg to the side or like back and forth, or like move your elbow. Like nothing there is moving. And
I never understood that until you get done a really good bench day where you've learned to exercise that. Yeah. And you're like, dude, my legs hurt from benching.
Yeah, my hips are like on fire.
Yeah, because you're externally rotating because you're using everything now.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people aren't doing. And I see like people set up on their bench, and they could be like, they have everything tight up here. They're retracting. They got their lats engaged, everything like that. But then their legs are like one of them sticking out further than the other one, and then they're drawing their leg back like before they start their bench. It's like obviously they're not doing something right on the.
Dude, you want to play that game this weekend? We should play that game this weekend.
Yeah, we could play that game.
Oh fuck yeah, this would be fun. We're gonna play the no luck game. It's where we watch people's bench setup and then guess what's gonna go wrong with it.
Oh, I can't wait,
dude. That'd be fun. Like if you see a foot, you're like on the way up. He's gonna struggle. One foot in front of the other. Moved out beyond max legal limit to move. He's going to kick it out.
Yeah. His foot's going to kick out. There it is.
Oh, look how loose his back is and see how he's touching on that high point. He's going to use his ass. It's definitely going to pop up off the bench. Dude, all right, I'm down to play this game.
I love that.
It's a fun game.
I do it by myself without telling anybody. I'm glad we're going to do this together.
You're here to have fun. Me and Carl are here to judge you. Yeah, I'm definitely down to play that game.
Yeah.
Let's keep a tally chart.
We can. All right, a little notepad. What are you writing down there?
Dude,
just tally chart.
Stuff. Tally chart. Loser buys the winner drink at Burnish later.
Okay, cool.
I'll buy you a beer and you can buy me a mocktail.
What is the tally going to be like? What we get right?
We can do right and just total.
Okay, I like that.
Like you got it right, or like this many guesses I got right. You know what I mean? Like who got the most right guesses?
Right, I like that.
That way, if we both fuck up, it doesn't count for a tally for either one of us.
That's cool.
All right, let's do that. I'm down with that. I'm down. I'm going to keep a notepad in the pocket.
We should do it not only on bench, though, like throughout the whole day. If we have time to look at all these lifts.
Like that's real. We're supposed to be handling. We're going to be with clients, and they're like, "Are you guys betting right now?" Oh, no, man. What's your next? Yeah, that sounds good. Go do that.
Yeah, go ahead. Add 10 pounds. Go ahead.
My first meet with my coach was really shitty. Him and his training partner did bets the entire time on this Elite FTS notepad.
Can we talk about that real quick? I think powerlifting would be way cooler if there was live sports betting.
This podcast totally just changed topics. I mean, we're only halfway through.
If you could do betting like you do like parlays on like, football, basketball, everything like that, just like on powerlifting, I feel like that'd be really cool.
We need to partner with
DraftKings.
No, we need to partner with Ocean Downs. It's local.
Yeah.
You probably get them to sponsor us.
Yeah.
What's that, like 20 minutes away?
30
minutes away?
Yeah. 30 or 40.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
That would be. So another thing we're talking about too, like I know we talked about bench setup, but let's talk about the actual bench, right? Because and the shout out to Danielle. I know she listens to our podcast, but she says her house. Was it her house or her parents' house?
I don't know.
Which was the one near the airport? I think she said
Her parents' house.
She said her parents' house. She said her parents' house is near an airport, and so she sees planes coming and going all the time. And now whenever she sees a plane leave or touch down, she always thinks of me and me yelling at her on bench to land and take off in an airplane on her bench and stop trying to land and take off in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Right? And so when we talk about landing in a plane and taking off, we're talking about working your angles, right? We're talking about creating a bar path in a steeper angle, right? And then tucking at the bottom of that to reach your touch point versus, coming straight down and then blasting straight back up, right? One of the biggest issues I see at meets is people not knowing how to correct a bench on the way off the chest. And instead of, coming back at the rack or back at me, when we yell back at me as a cue towards our coach, they'll just continue to punch straight up.
Yeah.
Which usually gets them stuck and hovering above a belly button.
I've heard also somebody talk about that technique. Travis McKinney.
Yeah.
He's talked about his bench press thinking of it as like the letter J, where he's coming down and then he scoops in.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot more sense too, yeah.
So if you're thinking about like the shape of the letter J, that's how the bench press.
And I think that's much more applicable in a shirt when I think about it, right? Because a lot of times in order to touch, as long as you're keeping that slight extension so you don't dump it, you do get that scoop.
Yeah, a little bit. So
and so it's sometimes it's a tuck, but some shirts you can get away more with a scoop. So
if you're having a hard time visualizing the plane takeoff and landing, just think of the letter J, and it's applicable both ways.
J's like the scoop though. The plane's more of a hard angle.
Yeah,
I prefer the plane. I like the plane. In a shirt, I'll sometimes scoop. I think I J scoop. If we're referring to that, sorry, Travis, if we're coining that.
Yeah, if we fuck it up, just let us know.
Yeah, the J scoop. But if I'm scooping it, it's usually to a lighter touch that's harder to get down.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
Where I kind of need that motion to get that touch.
Yeah, so, okay, we're going to talk about light touches real quick. What do you think the most important thing is in a bench shirt for attempt-wise? Is it not the range you have in the shirt?
I don't want to talk about just bench shirts, though. I want to talk about... We probably have more raw listeners.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just,
I don't bench raw, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, but you still apply tech. You do. You bench DE raw.
Yeah, you're right. So
Carl.
What are we going to next?
So when we're talking about, because I'm trying to think of things that are applicable in both directions, both raw and in shirted lifting. So again, a lot of people when we're talking about a common cue they hear, especially new people benching, is bending the bar.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So that's talking about your external rotation out, right, and literally rotating out. So elbows would be coming in, right? So external rotation is in and bending that bar as we come down and then getting that tuck versus in order to not overextend, and you'll hear this talked about more in a shirt, which is still applicable for raw, is corkscrewing, right? Yeah. So when you're coming back up and you're trying to just lock the elbows, instead of staying externally rotated here, right, as you're coming up to lock, you have that slight corkscrew in to lock those elbows for the judge.
That's a hard technique to learn.
It is a very hard technique, and it takes a lot of concentration. Like, you're thinking about. It comes with experience because you have to know where you're at in the lift.
I would say that's the hardest thing I still don't get all the time.
Knowing where you're at in the lift?
At the top towards the lockout. Like, that's the one of the ones I have.
Well, that's also the number one place. Raw or in a shirt, everyone panics.
Yeah.
That's when decision making goes out the window and panic sets in, and it's just push.
Yeah.
Which is the last thing you want to do in those situations. If you cannot push and develop skill and thought in those split second decisions, now you're making money.
Dude, it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah. Do a lot of dumb shit in that last second. You got only one more inch to go, but you got a lot of mistakes to be made.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, why we're talking about bench. Like, bench is the one everyone does, but it's also the one that's hardest to do good. Because there's so many spots to make a mistake.
You can do a lot of bad benches that are still benches.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about, too, external rotation of not only, like we talked about external rotation and bending the bar on your way down and corkscrew on the way up, but also a big thing I'm on right now is the external rotation of the legs.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because not only does that boost your torso position higher once you take that final brace and belly, right?
The starfish.
But yeah, so I call it the starfish, right? Because everything's out like a star, right? So think Patrick Star, right? You're externally rotating here, and before we're coming down and breaking the elbows, we're opening our legs and externally rotating out to push that belly and torso up, right? So you have a higher touch point to meet. And when I say higher, I don't mean physically higher on your torso. I mean higher literally off the bench as where you're closing that gap and reducing the range of motion.
If you guys are listening closely, a lot of these things are just reducing range of motion.
Yeah, you don't have to get stronger. You just got to get... You don't got to get stronger. You just got to get good.
That's the secret. Just eliminate how much you have to move the bar, and you're going to get stronger.
Yeah, just get good. And then once you move the bar less distance, you can add more weight, and then your body's going to have to adapt to that, and then you get bigger and stronger.
That's right.
Secrets unlocked. You're welcome. Podcast is done. Go the fuck home.
Go learn how to bench now.
Go have a big bench.
Less range of motion, more energy, more weight.
This is a math formula even I can understand.
What's the equation on that?
I don't know. Something with a minus in it. This minus this plus this equals big bench.
Squared.
Yeah. But I really want to talk about, dude, because I think this is something I've instilled in you, is what you feel versus what you see. Why don't you talk about that, Carl?
Yeah. So we just talked about how I have a hard time at the top end of my bench and like knowing where I'm at to initiate those cues for a better lockout. But I mean, it plays the whole way through. I visualize myself like if I'm starting a bench, I get it handed out to me. It's in my hands. We work a lot of boards, so knowing where I'm at in the middle of a touch is very dependent on where I feel the boards. Like if I'm coming down, I have my opener, and I'm going down. I know I like about 4 inches down. Okay, that's gonna be my 3 board, and then I get down another inch or so, inch and a half. There's where the 2 would be. I get to the 1, and by the time I get to the 1, that's when it's like, okay, the pressure's higher, like it's a lot tighter. I have to get that airplane tucking motion into it, and then I'm pushing myself up into the bar.
We refer to that as meeting the bar, or belly to bar.
Right, belly to the bar, meeting the bar, making sure you get that good contact.
Yeah, and I like the way you're doing that with your hands, because that's the way I always describe it. Because like, okay, so if your belly's coming this way and the bar's coming this way, and this exemplifies the airplane, right? You're trying to have them meet, right? You want belly up, bench down to make that soft touch versus down, kind of getting stuck and then just going like, at the last second to try to get it, which sometimes that does happen. But.
So when I'm trying to visualize that, I think the best thing to help me, I mean, all sports do this, but you just got to watch your tape. Record your lifts, look back at it, see what you're doing. And it's really important that you take that information into your next benching session and visualize like, okay, so when I'm feeling this is what it looks like. Or even if it's a bad session, you have, you miss one, you dump one this way, you dump one that way. Either direction, like, okay, what was I doing then that caused that to happen? Where did my forearms go? Where did my wrists go? Were my arms tucked too early? Did I not tuck at all? All really important things to take into account when you're going through the bench when you have it in your hands. I know it's going to be hard to actually do because when you have a lot of weight in your hands, you're thinking the whole time of, okay, I'm here. Where do my arms have to go for this? Okay, now I'm here, and it just like gets progressively worse as you go through.
Yeah.
But it's all just super important to watch your tapes because that's what gives you, or personally, that's what gave me the most information to go into my next, session. Like, okay, now I know what that feels like to what it looks like.
Very well said, Carl. Very well said. Don't make your videos just for your coach. Make them for you too.
Yeah, I don't send him videos at all. They're all for me.
You didn't have to say that.
He's there for all my benches. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but
you're the handoff guy.
You're like, watch your own tapes. Don't send them to your coach. I don't.
No, I'm not saying that.
I know what I did wrong. I'm just gonna pay you to not watch my videos. But that was very well said.
Yeah, I mean, half the time it's like I do something wrong. You're like, hey, this is what you did wrong, and then I go look at it. Oh yeah, there it is. That's exactly the moment.
That's exactly what he said. But no, very good point. Very good point. I want to talk about the pit of doom. I call it the pit of doom, right? So you see a lot of lifters, two different things. I call it the pit of doom is when you pick your head up, right? So you have a lifter that'll constantly look and feel pressure to know, as much as me and Carl talk about like knowing where you're at in the movement. A lot of lifters will physically try to do that and look at the bar the whole time. And what they do is when you cradle your neck a certain way and kind of like look in and start to tuck your chin, right? You're pulling, instead of like the opposite, like we're talking about with external rotation to up that belly point, right? You're cradling your neck and tucking the chin in, and now you're creating a pit, right? And so rather than doing the thing we want to do and reducing the range of motion, now we're creating a pit for the bar to sink and actually lengthening that bench press. Yeah. Usually, and also not only that, it's not only making your range of motion longer, but it's creating a touch point that you don't want to be in, right? Because if it does sink to that pit, usually that pit is higher up.
That's a problem I had when I first started getting
right. And think about like if we're here and we're externally rotating, we're going for the touch here with that high torso angle, but now we kind of sunk this pit and now we're touching super high, right? Very not ideal. And you can even hear it in my voice when I'm trying to talk to you. I'm like,
it closes you off.
Yeah, it's very closed off position. You have less air, you have a longer bench press, a longer stroke, as you would say. Like, it's not ideal. So get in the habit of keeping that head down, right? And even when you're dumbbell benching and doing accessories, like try to reinforce it there too.
Yeah.
There's never a bad time to try to reinforce good habits.
I think so too.
I need that on a fucking shirt.
Yeah. Never
a bad time to reinforce good habits.
Bars. That was good.
Second take. Podcast is over. Shut this shit down. It's my second one of the day. Let's go.
Dude, I had a really big issue with that when I was first.
Yes, you did. I constantly had to tell you keep your head down.
It was me in the middle of the bench. I just hear, put your head down, put your head down.
Yeah, and you get to the point, well, it sucks because if you don't have someone with eyes on it or you're not studying your videos, like most people don't know they're doing it.
No, I didn't know I was doing it.
Yeah, I'm like, Carl, put your head down. You're like, what? And I'm like, no, dude, you're fucking tucking and not with your elbows. Tucking chin to chest. And
I'm just hiding from the bar. I want to get away from it.
All right, so we want to do a couple other things too. Carl, what are your favorite bench builders?
Okay.
I know you wrote yours down separate on a different thing, which I like to hear a couple of yours because I heard you mildly talking about it before we got on the podcast.
Yeah.
But they were drastically different from, not that I disagreed with them, just different from what I wrote down.
Okay.
Because you looked at more as your like compound holistically and like things in a program, and I looked at them as like super specific things I was doing. Right? So go ahead with yours first.
All right. So I wrote down the top couple of things that I like for
Is this top three?
Top three. I have 4 in there, but it's a top 3.
Do top 3. I originally wrote top 5, and I was like, 5's too many.
Giving away all our secrets. So I really like the dumbbell skull crushers we do. Skull crusher, not rolling, but controlled skull crushers. I feel like a lot of people think of the dumbbell, the rolling, extensions.
Yeah.
But I feel like that takes away from a lot of the tricep activation.
I think you get overload in them, but you build a false sense of strength because you get that momentum in them.
Yeah, and it also doesn't carry well over for me in the bench press because I get used to that rolling motion, and then I can just come into a shirt faster. Like I can, go into the bottom of the bench faster if I'm thinking of instead of loading into the triceps with that.
Right.
Another one was also tricep related. It was actually something we kicked in pretty recently, but kickbacks. So we used cables for a long time. And we just recently switched over to doing dumbbells.
My problem was, and the reason I did this for both of us, for the longest time, I could not figure out a comfortable pattern with a dumbbell where I felt the tricep activation of it.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's why I always use cable. Because cables, well, at first was like, I'd only use cables with the grenade attachment.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And then we switched to the cables just holding onto that chunk of ball cable at the bottom. And of course, you always see me, and mine are set low, and I'm super bent over, right? So like bracing the post and really being low.
Yeah.
And so when I used to do them with dumbbells, like I never got that. And I think the switch to those, what we've recently done, what you're talking about, being bent over and holding the contraction
the
at
pause
the
at
top,
the
is
top
really
of the
like,
movement.
I've been sore since we've been pausing them.
Yeah, and I told you a couple of days ago, I feel like I can really visualize myself at the top of a bench press on that lockout when I'm doing a kickback with the dumbbell and I can squeeze at the top.
Right.
Like I feel like if I'm doing that accessory movement and I'm visualizing myself locking out a bench as I'm putting my arm back and squeezing the dumbbell, it translates super well into the actual bench press because then when I'm over there benching, my triceps are a lot stronger because I'm thinking about that squeeze on the kickbacks.
So if you're one of those people that, like us, have had that issue, try it more bent over and really try to rotate the wrist back and squeeze at the top. So you're getting that full flexion and that good squeeze at the top. If you're just cranking them out, I promise you're losing out on them. You're much better just doing them on a cable.
Yeah, I agree. The third thing I wrote down was actually something not tricep related. It was for my upper back. So anything like any variation of a T-bar or chest supported row is my go-to. I'm not good at them, but my goal is,
you would say as an accessory that's one of your weaker ones.
That is one of my weaker ones. But as I push that, my bench is getting stronger. So like right now, that's one of my favorite things to go to.
And our T-bar, we've talked about this. Our T-bar sucks, like in a good way. Our T-bar is very nice. It's one of
brutal.
The elite FTS ones, but where the weight carriage is and holding,
it's like 3 feet out in front of you.
Yeah, it makes normal weight. You do it like a commercial gym on a T-bar row. You can't do it on this one.
Yeah, I remember going, this was years ago at the commercial gym.
When you were a lot less stronger.
Yeah, like
and
having
smaller.
3 1/4 on there banging out sets of like 12. And then I'm over here doing this and I bench a whole lot more now, but I'm throwing 2 plates on there and it's kicking my ass.
Oh, dude, yeah. Ours is fucking hard.
So
the elite FTS one absolutely wrecks you.
Yeah, and I say I bring that up because I feel like a lot of people don't take into account that your upper back is a huge portion of your bench press. And
that's where your stability's coming from.
That's where your stability's coming from. It's the platform that you're pushing off of. And I hear people talk a lot about when you're pressing in the bench, you're really just pushing yourself back into the pad and you're using that platform you have as your upper back to do that.
Yeah, and if you are keeping your triceps and you have wide enough lats and you're locking those together in that external rotation, this is a much more solid platform to press from than this where it's all loose, right?
You mean you see these really big, strong bench pressers. What do they all look like? They have really big backs.
Yeah, and everything's touching when they're tucked up.
If you can set your triceps on your lats, you're in good books for a strong bench press.
Absolutely.
So that's my list.
I was shorter than I thought it was going to be. No offense.
Oh, okay. I have a fourth,
What's your fourth? Go ahead. What's your fourth?
My fourth wasn't really an accessory, but it was self-handouts.
Okay, yeah. Talk about that.
So self-handouts.
You said I was responsible for this.
You were. You're the one that told me to do this. So this is about a year back, and I started. Okay, it was probably 2 years back now. Getting in the shirt, I was somewhere around the high 3s to low 4s in my top out heaviest bench and
raw bench.
No, I'm talking about shirted.
Oh, okay.
2 years back,
2 years back. Okay.
And then as we got doing more DE stuff, you told me to stop getting handouts for the accessory weight,
That's
DE
what I meant. I didn't want to confuse listeners.
Oh,
we're talking about handoffs with your raw bench / your DE work.
Yes.
He's not picking up the weight in a shirt.
All my shirted benches, I get handouts.
Right. I didn't want him confused after we talked about handouts.
You're right. So all my shoulder benches I get handouts to, all my raw stuff like my DE work, that's all self handoffs, and it greatly improves your forearm strength, which in turn gives you something better to stack onto when you're handling heavier weights. If you have bigger forearms, you're gonna have an easier time supporting that load. So I started doing my own self handoffs, and that was like every single raw day, like we did anywhere stretching from our first working sets at like whatever we were doing to the top end of our 65% or more, and then even all our days where we take like straight weight raw, and I took my first 4 plates with a self handoff, and I didn't think I'd be able to do that, but there I was. Yeah. So it improved greatly over the time I started doing it, and it translated into my shirted bench more because I had more stability holding those heavier loads.
Should I do mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my top 3, one of them similar to yours. I really like the tricep skull crushers you were talking about with the dumbbells, but I always run me and Carl's as a superset. And I think that superset with the pre-fatigue from the skull crushers into a Tate press, a lot of people don't know what a Tate press is unless you're an active reader on Elite FTS, which, humble brag, I am. And if you don't believe in reading, dude, get your toilet time right. Do some tinker stinker time and read some articles while you're on the toilet.
That's right.
They're about 7 to 8 minute reads. Learn a lot. Do it. Read. If you're not good at reading, get better at reading.
If you're a slower reader like me, maybe like a 10-minute read.
You're slower at everything. But Tate press is where you're having the dumbbells and you're coming in to your chest and touching the ends of the dumbbells on your pecs or right a little bit lower, and then you're rotating and pulling your wrists out, right? So it's like this motion. Almost like a weird inversion between like a tricep dumbbell press and a fly. Yeah. Right? It's kind of like a mixture of that. But we run ours as a superset. So you have your skull crushers here, and we'll do those for like 12 to 15. Supersetted with the same weight as a Tate press, another 12 to 15 here for like a superset. I really, really like those. I think those always really set my forearms on fire, especially with that extra extension there. Mm-hmm. And that's always really helped my bench press. And I think those have been a staple in my programming for me personally for well over a couple years now.
Yeah, more than a couple of years.
And they're very hard to go up in weight on.
Dude, I think it's a really important thing we should talk about real quick is we don't push these accessories crazy heavy all the time.
Yeah, especially our chest exercises after benching in a shirt.
Can you explain why?
Yeah, I mean, like, I especially believe that's true for raw lifting. Dude, if you're absolutely punishing your upper body and you have, ME day and you have like a dynamic day, or you have like an easy load versus a medium to hard load, as far as like if you're linear programming versus conjugate, dude, you don't need to punish your body on a crazy heavy dumbbell bench. So like I'll see dudes, have their heavy dumbbells or their heavy bench day and then go over and then, do some like hundreds or like 120s.
I'm gonna grab the 120s and bang it out.
Which is great if you're strong enough to do that. But like, dude, when we're doing that, we're looking for max amount of volume, and we're also looking for what's going to translate best to tendon strength, right? You've already beat the shit out of yourself over there doing super heavy weight. Like, go get in your tendon and rehabilitation work, right?
Yeah.
Get the pump, get the blood flow, right? Those things are equally as important in recovering from a heavy bench session than just trying to constantly trash yourself.
Yeah.
We also split frequency.
We do. And I think when you say like good for tendon health, that doesn't mean we're not putting it in the muscle. Like we're still doing the accessory movement for the muscle group itself, but it is just healthy and beneficial for the tendon not to have maximal load on that all the time and getting a higher rep frequency in.
Yeah. Then you start asking for stuff, and it starts as tennis elbow, and then it gets worse from there.
Yeah.
So definitely consider that when you're working. Also, stiff arm pushdowns with face pulls.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that for that. Again, like we were just talking about, squeezing into your lats on the bench, of not only growing your lats, but also being mindful. A lot of people, especially new lifters I'm coaching, you don't know your ass from your elbow. Like, a lot of them have a really hard time like feeling different places, making that muscle connection, and knowing how to move things independently, right? So talking about stiff arm pushdowns, right? Engaging those lats, knowing what that feels like, and then also with your face pull, knowing what the overextension, the neutral, and the retraction feels like.
Yeah.
Right? So not only are you building strength and endurance in those positions, but you're also becoming more aware of what those positions feel like. So for me, that's a staple and a twofer, man.
Yeah,
you're getting technique build, you're getting two places you want stronger for your bench, and you're knowing what the positions and individual muscle group feels like for when you have to utilize those things and move them independently in a bench setup and progression.
No, that's great.
And my last one I had on here is one of my favorites. Unfortunately, I can't really do it anymore after I had surgery on my one elbow. Is SSB JM press when you unscrew and remove the handles, right? Coming out with your SSB pad and then coming down, allowing that cushion to flare and rock back on you, and then rotating and pushing up through. Those were huge for me. I used to be able to do extraordinary weights on them.
What was your top out for those?
Dude, I was doing like sets of 8 with like 405.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was doing like sets of 315 for like 20. It was fucking ridiculous. But that was back in my raw benching days when I was a very strong raw bencher.
Yeah.
Because my best platform bench was 463, but my best raw bench inside the gym was 485, 490 raw.
I saw you with 85 at
Yeah, so if I hadn't had to get fucked up, I might have had 500 around the corner.
Right there. You're right there.
Sad days, sad times. Tears. Talk about bench makes me sad. Yeah, but those are my top 3. JM Press is incredible. I always encourage people, again, Elite FTS to read. And also, they have a lot of YouTube videos that you can easily look up these movements. Of course, I post them on my Instagram page and things like that when me and Carl run workouts. But obviously, if you want to go directly to just one of those lifts, much easier to search them up.
Yeah. And I think you said we can't do them, or you can't do them because of your surgery, but also that's another, if we were to throw those into, like, say, my program or something like that, that's another heavy load on my triceps that we don't need to do because we're already taking the heavier loads on a bench press.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We just translate that into a lighter weight accessory movement with dumbbells.
Right. Or if you were going to do the JM press, again, we would boost it for volume.
Right.
We would do sets of 20.
I would say like 20 to 30.
Yeah. Like, and a lot of those are super beneficial too. I used to do them at that weight too, and then also I'd rotate like more maximal efforts in there where I'm going more like hardcore 6 to 8 range.
Right.
Which got really heavy.
When you were pushing your raw bench, would you like further out from meet have like your 6 to 8 range and then start as you get closer, dial it to like 3 to 5 and then like
No, I would take my heavier ones in the off season.
Oh, okay.
And I would keep it more volume related, like we were saying, when I started taking heavier actual benches, getting closer in.
Gotcha.
So I treat those more volume heavy.
Okay.
Because I wasn't trying to punish myself on a heavy actual bench and then also a heavy, super heavy JM press because of how hard it can be on the elbows.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, but hopefully we didn't just ramble in a circle and you guys learned some stuff today about bench. It's just something we really want to talk to, and now I'm kind of excited to do it. Same for squat and deadlift. So I think this will be a good addition to the podcast. Again, if you guys have questions, want to see individual movements, please reach out to me and Carl. We'll be more than happy to put you in the right direction. Again, the whole reason we want to talk about and started this podcast is because we fucking love powerlifting. It kept me here. It kept me owning a gym, doing everything for a really long time. So, of course, we want to pay that forward and pass it to you guys. You can also, of course, if you want to see some of these in action in a actual program, you can always reach out to me to be talking about coaching. And I've also posted a lot of free programs on the Elite FTS authors page where I publish my content.
Yeah. I think we just threw this together real quick so we could have something to look back on before we bench tomorrow. So it's like, okay, all the things we do wrong, here they are laying them out on the table so we can just go in there tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't want to bench tomorrow. Last and finally, shout out to our man, John Flagg, who is coming down actually to lift at No Luck 6 this weekend, but is also one of our prime sponsors and our good friends for the podcast. John has recently helped us out with another purchase for a compressor and things to make sure we can keep running this podcast to its most proficiency, and despite me and Carl being very technically not sound as far as running electronics and computers and shit, like we're not savvy, but John helped us out to make sure we can get that done. So looking very, very forward to seeing him not only on the platform, but spending time with my guy as well. Hopefully, man, we should talk about filming some content if we can. But
yeah, definitely.
I know he's super busy. And
he might be competing, so like,
he might be like tired or something if he tries.
That man takes some crazy weights.
He
so
does.
We'll see.
So, guys, as always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. You got any closing remarks?
No, I think we covered all of it. I'm pretty happy with how things went.
Sweet. With love and grumpy paws, we're out.